During a discussion on Bretton Woods at 80 priorities for the next decade in Washington, D.C., Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman highlighted the India's proactive support for neighboring countries in distress, stating, "Much before the IMF reached some countries in our neighborhood, we have come out in time to help with no conditions attached." Emphasizing India's cultural values, she refrained from naming specific countries or financial details, noting that India has provided highly discounted lines of credit for infrastructure projects, including institutions, bridges, and ports. Sitharaman reiterated India's commitment to assisting the Global South, emphasizing the importance of creating opportunities and supporting nations that may struggle to repay these investments.
Challenge, but never mind. Is being implemented. Where do you feel that there's hope for faster progress, and where do you feel a little bit disappointed?
Thank you, Masood, for giving me this chance to speak, and of course, putting me at the first position in responding also has a little bit of a challenge, but never mind. I think the G20 India presidency was an opportunity for India on two specific grounds, and of course there are other grounds. First, on the MDB reforms, I must credit and fall back on what Prime Minister of India, Modi, has been talking since 2015, saying multilateral development institutions should look at reforming and readying themselves for the 21st century demands. And when he said it in 2015, there was no COVID. But post-COVID, we see how those words were absolutely critical, from the point of view of what we need to do. And therefore, when the opportunity came for India to take up the presidency, which was after COVID, we thought it was important for India to voice the concerns of the Global South. And therefore, before the G20 presidency actually came on us, we had a big VC, video conferencing with all the Global South countries. The Prime Minister spoke to them, understood their aspirations, and then built into our presidency a voice and a representation for the Global South. That was one of the things. And second, the point on making the multilateral development institutions a lot more nimble-footed, to leverage the capital they have already with them, and also to be clear how in timely fashion they will come in to help nations, both for developmental needs, for elimination of poverty. And of course, IMF was not a point of discussion, but still I think the points which are now being discussed for the G20's recommendations, which Ravi and Kissing and others gave, so that was more aimed at the World Bank and the multilateral regional development banks. But I think it is so relevant even for the IMF. And therefore, Voice of South was one, MDI reforms and making them relevant for 21st century is the second. And I would also think there are a few other things. How do you raise private capital? Have we been ready up to it? What are the kind of institutional governance mechanisms that we need to look at? The manpower that you have, and so on. So the recommendations have been absolutely to the point, and it is a challenge, but never mind.
It is being implemented. Where do you feel that there's hope for faster progress, and where do you feel a little bit disappointed?
Thank you, Masood, for giving me this chance to speak, and of course, putting me at the first